The Scorpion, Chapter 9. What is the American character? And is it different than the character of America's leaders who love all things British? This is important to ask, for people will in short time throw off leaders who do not reflect their interests. The Shah was overthrown by the Iranians not solely because he ran Savak, but because he wasn't a particularly religious man. He underestimated how important Islam was to the Iranian people, which is one good reason why Iranians set up the Islamic Republic after dispatching the Shah. And if we are to believe the Leverets, Hillary and Flint, and I have no reason to doubt them, the people of Iran want an Islamic Republic. It's not imposed upon them by force. They have voted for it repeatedly over the past 50 years. Iranians desire moral men to lead them. So too do Americans want their leaders to be moral men and women. They want their country to count for something. After all, they're investing their labors into it. So let's talk about the American character. A people, a civilization is a reflection of their environment. And America is a forgiving place. It is truly a land of plenty. We possess the best of everything God can bestow upon a people. We have plenty of ports, navigable rivers that go far inland, lakes, mountains, minerals, fisheries, and farmland. And we have Las Vegas and the Scorpions. A man cannot be unhappy in America. This is why we do not make great villains in movies. The British make much better villains. Preternaturally hard and cruel people, they have been molded that way by their rainy, cold environment, their Roman influence, their Nordic roots, and their demeaning monarchy. Who is your favorite British villain in the movies? There are so many to choose from. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber, Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher, Oliver Reed as Bill Sykes, Ian McShane as Teddy Bess. My favorite is the archetype of British villains, Trevor Howard as Captain Bligh. Trevor Howard wrote the book on villainy. All British villains worship at his feet. Whenever I watch Mutiny on the Bounty, I must watch the Cruelty with a Purpose scene. Quite frankly, it delights me. This is the benchmark of the British Empire, cruelty with a purpose. Cruelty is what the British had intended to impose upon the American colonies. As Acemoglu and Robinson have pointed out, the British intended to impose a feudalistic encomienda upon America. But they were thwarted. They were thwarted by the lack of gold, a vast, limitless interior, and by Native Americans who offered a much better egalitarian deal than did the British. So it was tough for the British to enforce their beloved caste system upon the colonists. The colonists could simply run away and live with the Indians. This happened to such a degree that the British had to impose punishment and fines for those who did run away. This relative egalitarianism forged our national character. We are not British. We are not by nature a cruel people. We are Americans. And although many of our ancestors came from England, let us remember that those ancestors left for a reason. They left because they were rebellious and because they didn't share the duty and resignation that they were subjects of a monarch. They were different from their brothers and sisters who remained, and those who left imparted their values to us. So although we speak the same language, we are different. We are fundamentally different with the exception of our ruling class, who never wanted to fully escape the boot of the British crown. And why should they have wanted to escape? They were the ruling class. And so while the American people are different, our leaders are very, very British, and they strive mightily to this day to separate themselves from us, even going so far as to develop a contrived mid-Atlantic accent so as to cement themselves above us in their own minds. This was the affected accent of William F. Buckley, whose heritage comes from England by way of Texas. So who was he trying to kid? And this is not as it should be. To drive these cultural differences home, let us now examine cultural differences between the UK and the US. There are distinct differences. An American is generally more outgoing, friendly, and probably a little rude as well. Let us just say that we're more direct. A Brit, on the other hand, is polite, reserved, and a little more cold. To summarize, Brits have more of a glass rod up their ass than an American. Now, Brits like to think of themselves as more tolerant and culturally aware than Americans, but their actions belie their beliefs about themselves. Brits have revealed themselves to be totally disrespectful to those who live in foreign countries that they have subjugated. They brutalized the Irish, their neighbors, for 900 years. And when the Irish potato famine struck, the Brits stated that this mass starvation was the hidden hand of God punishing the Irish for breeding like rabbits. And they truly believed this Malthusian doctrine. Winston Churchill said the same about the Bengalis when they were starving years later. The Brits for centuries enslaved the people of India, and they mismanaged famines there as well. Tens of millions died from the famines in India, which makes Queen Victoria, not Hitler, not Stalin, not Mao, not King Leopold, the biggest mass murderer of all times. Now, the Brits like to piously claim that they were the first to outlaw slavery in 1832. But that was not really the case. They had merely replaced their black slaves with not-so-black slaves from India. They tricked the illiterate citizens of India by having them place their thumbprint upon a contract for indentured servitude. Then they shipped them out to Guyana and other places of the world to work their slave plantations, and they worked them to death. This is why you can find people of Indian extraction in South America. So noble, those Brits. So polite, so civilized. The Romans placed beautiful statues in their gardens to cover up their inner ugliness. This is what Chesterton hints at in his book, St. Francis of Assisi. Louis XIV focused on etiquette in his dress to hide his inner ugliness. Paris rotted under his watch. The British elite focused on politeness, dainty discussion about the weather, and tea to disguise their inner ugliness. We Americans, as a new empire, are not quite there yet, but we are striving mightily to emulate the British. I suspect our newfound political correctness and obsession with cancel culture is a brave attempt to sanitize our ugliness in Vietnam, the Middle East, and Gaza. Our founding fathers would be shocked at what we try to emulate. Well, maybe not Hamilton. It was this cultural depravity of the British that ultimately led the plebes and their representatives, Jefferson and Madison, to create a Bill of Rights, a bill which Alexander Hamilton opposed.